Liberate Your Brain. Part 2. Knowing Your Brain. Not being a scientist, this part seemed more complicated to me. I did some cognitive misery myself, explained below, by making shortcuts and focusing on the parts that spoke to me most. Chapter 1. Who is your brain? Are our nerves a computer? I loved that he concluded his answer to this question with, the living is the most technologically brilliant entity available to us. Cognitive miser. Our brain is a cognitive miser, always trying to do as few mental operations as possible. Even if it means making shortcuts, automatic thoughts. It often prefers the easy way out to the truth. Stigmergies. Use or lose is the famous expression. The more we review something, the more learning becomes reinforced by becoming brain rivers. Our brain is designed for action. The brain is primarily for movement. Our thinking comes from movement and is itself movement. This made me think of Nietzsche, who said that only the thoughts we have while walking are worth anything.
Liberate Your Brain. Part 2. Knowing Your Brain. Chapter 2. Neuroergonomics for the Knowledge Economy. Transferring information, creating knowledge. What is the difference between information and knowledge? Information is punctual, while knowledge is reproducible. The problem is that we produce more knowledge than we can transfer. We need modes to better transfer knowledge, and thus learn as a group. Truth is like a broken mirror of which each one has a small piece, and above all make people want to learn. This wow effect of learning can be illustrated by the 3 steps of a good conference. The techniques for learning are the same as those of a good restaurant, based on wonder. Surprise, that I didn't know. Contentment, I'm glad to know that. Frustration, hunger, I want to know more. Sauerteplatof's law. There are 3 rules concerning knowledge exchanges. They are positive sum. Therefore, there is no rivalry or loss for learning. When you share a material good, you divide it. When you share an immaterial good, you multiply it. They take time. They are not linear. If we add one piece of knowledge to another, it does not make 2 pieces of knowledge but 3. Chapter 3. In Education. The author asserts in a determined tone that we must not force the brain to resemble our school, force-feeding and conformity. We must force our school to resemble our brain. He also reminds us of Steve Jobs' quote, "When you understand that the world around you was built by people who are not smarter than you, and that you can transform it, your life will never be the same again." This is one of the important keys to freeing your brain. Chapter 4. Play, Work, Live. Playing is everywhere and at all times the best way to learn. The proof is that all species use this great method. Fun is a primary condition to potentiate learning and can-do attitude. Unfortunately, institutions can encourage, voluntarily or not, learned helplessness, which is the cannot-do attitude. Add to that the fact that ego is the greatest destroyer of value in an institution. The result of all this is not always pretty. Yet our brain often chooses to stay in the institution, even if it means being wrong. It prefers the known unhealthy to a healthy but unknown world. Liberate Your Brain. Part 2. Knowing Your Brain. Chapter 5. Marketing, Politics and Journalism. Contemporary marketing is based on permanent frustration. This frustration is dangerous because it carries with it the possibility of violence. Regarding journalism, it is important to take into account the 4 biases of information. Confirmation bias, what we call facts, is actually a memory. Our brain encourages us to form biased memories in favor of our beliefs and to forget what disturbs us. Memory bias, our memories are not only biased, but unreliable. Sampling bias, what we feed ourselves with has already been partially selected by the media. Stunning bias, bad news is more significant than good news, survival reflex. In the Ice Age, bad news meant death. Chapter 6. The Augmented Man. Alienated Man? The author warns us here. We don't know how to recreate him and we would like to tinker with him, customize him. Giving Ritalin to children so that they follow the school reverses the problem, treating the healthy when we should be treating the school. If man increases himself to conform to something created by humans, he becomes a slave. Conformity already invades our whole life, if it invades our brain,